live stream, and so is the cat in the live stream doing the stuffs and the things in the live stream. Smokey's knocking stuff over in the live stream, but it's okay in the live stream because it's a live stream. Late live stream, little bit late. That's okay. It doesn't really matter anyway. Because it's a live stream. This is my live stream. I can make it whenever I can have a live stream literally in the middle of the night, and or in the middle of the day, and it would still get like 20 views. It doesn't really matter. On a good day specifically, it would get 20.
Should I?
Hello, my hi, Drew. Hi, I'm a hoopy fruit too. Hi. Yes, ma'am.
Should I remove her?
Oh, I have no idea.
If it save us money, because now she's getting free.
Oh, because she's got her own thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Since she was just approved.
Yes. Hey, Mixed. Eric and Mixed showing up. I know I can rely on my reoccurring people. I'm honestly sitting here like, man, my stream's a little late tonight. I mean, not too much later than what I've been doing, but like it's a little late tonight, Might not get as many people show up, and then immediately 2 of my reoccurring viewers kick down the front door. I'd love it. Like, you guys don't know how happy it makes me to, like, see you guys on a regular basis. Even if it's not, like, every week. Just to, like, see people coming back and interact. The fact that I have reoccurring viewers is, like, the coolest thing to me. So, 11 p.m., what are you doing? I am not worth being up in the middle of the night. Unless, you're already up, then I guess it's whatever. Mrs. Taylor is there.
Hello.
She's off to the side here. But no, I genuinely, and I know, a bit of a night owl, that's good. And I know I say this stuff like at the end of every stream, but I do just mean it. It's so cool to me that, I have people who actually like my stuff and who show up at a regular basis and like come back for more, and I get views and likes. The fact that I'm just not speaking completely to an empty void, that people like that. Not everyone is just scrolling past my stream. That I do have some. I don't know. Thank you for being here. I lost a life in a game. Join you. That's not worth it. That's like someone, I can't remember who it was, but someone was like playing Minecraft and like they hopped off to hop on live and was like, that's not worth it. Pleasure is ours. Well, I'm glad. I do love doing these streams. I love seeing you guys. Don't really have a topic for the stream. Not that it matters. We never really stick to the topic. It was literally just like me finishing up work and like, just like frantically typing stuff in. It's like the thumbnail is literally just like, it's an atheist. Like, it's just whatever. Like, it doesn't really matter. We never stay on topic anyway. What would you guys like to discuss? Eric and Mixed were the first ones in. Seems only fitting that they would get to choose. I have my tighter ring on. I have my black ring. I have 2 of them. One of them is like a slightly bigger size, but it's in my pocket of my work pants, which is in the other room that I don't want to go and get. So is my water and my medicine. Hey, Mama.
I'm doing something.
Oh, okay. I love you.
I love you.
I did not watch the State of the Union. I work 12-hour days. I've heard things, and I definitely want to find time to watch it. Yeah, I've heard. It is what it is. I don't know. is what it is at this point with the country. That is so weird and random. I'm biased against Dostoevsky. Do you have an opinion on his work? The name is familiar, but I could not tell you. I have no idea who you're talking about. The name, it's a name, like there's a file in there somewhere, but like I can't really access it. Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky.
Okay. Requires.
He was an author. Yeah.
Stuff. Okay.
Try it. It's definitely a file in there somewhere. Yeah, I'm completely blanking, to be honest. Wasn't he like a more philosophical minded individual? Or am I just completely wrong? Have I pulled the wrong file? Be amazed. Yeah. What are some of his thoughts? Those can be some of the. We can bring that up in the stream. Discuss some of his thoughts, his ideas, his works. Anything controversial he said? What kind of ideas he pushes? What do we got on this dude? I'm gonna tear up this form for a helpline that I had to call the other day. Wouldn't want you to get the number for public information. If there is no God, then anything is permitted. I definitely speak a lot about that idea. If there's no God, then anything is permitted. I definitely talk a lot about that idea. Was a Russian philosopher, novelist, short story writer, essayist, and journalist. He is regarded as one of the greatest novelists in both Russian and world literature. He lived in the mid-1800s. Okay. If there's no God, everything is permitted. You guys hear me talk about that on a regular basis. How I completely reject any kind of idea of there's no God, so we can't have any kind of morality because there's no objective morality, so there's no morals at all, no purpose. If there's no God, we'd all just be running around killing each other and whatnot, even though we don't see that happening in atheist circles. Jordan Peterson loves to quote Dostoevsky, but he thinks atheists are solipsistic, depressed killers. Peterson has his ideas, that everyone is entitled to. He's not like my favorite. When I first started hearing him, I was already an atheist, and I honestly liked him, because I like hearing like outside the box, like different ideas. And I was like, I like this guy. But then, I kept listening, and like, dude is so outside the box. I don't think he knows where the box is. So, yeah, everyone has their ideas. We deal with people on a regular basis on this channel who have different ideas of atheists and whatnot. So, what can you do at the end of the day? I would like to know why folks appreciate his work. Also, C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis, I can understand a little bit better why people like C.S. Lewis, especially if you're like in the Christian sphere. What was it? Was it Mere Christianity? Yeah, Mere Christianity. When I read that a few months ago, I remember thinking, man, I would have loved this back when I was still a Christian. I would have eaten that up. Plus, we got the Chronicles of Narnia and stuff, so I can understand, more why people kind of lean towards him. He's a pretty good writer. I like Jordan Peterson when his main point was fighting against forced speech. I think he has become radicalized over the past 5 years. It'd be like that sometimes. I feel like I'm in like a. I was never really radical, but I feel like I'm in like a de-radicalization phase right now. Like I'm definitely like less pressed and heated and abrasive on these types of topics. I feel like I'm just kind of going on my own spiritual journey, if you will. To be fair, I love Voyage of the Dawn Treader movie. I never saw that movie. The movies, I stopped at Prince Caspian. I stopped after Prince Caspian. Never read the books. I was never a big reader growing up. And even these days, I'm not a big reader. I like reading. I'm just really slow and never have time to do it. I really want to finish reading this because we used it as a textbook in class. I'm about halfway through. I really want to finish reading this. Then I have another book up there that I want to read. And then I want to read through this, the NRSV, New Oxler Annotated Bible. Because I haven't read the NRSV yet. I've listened to an audiobook of it a couple times all the way through, and then like patches here and there. But I haven't actually read it, and I really want to read it. I really want to read the Bible again. I haven't read the Bible in a minute, and I miss it. Which I know is just like a weird thing for me to say, but I don't know. I have this obsession with Christianity and religion and whatnot, and I haven't read the Bible in a while. Couldn't read well until I was an adult. I feel like I read a little bit better when I was a kid, but I have more of a drive to read as an adult. But my reading just doesn't run as well, and some head injuries in the past few years have completely dampened the entire process. That's why I can't really sit and focus and read for long periods of time without, straining my brain. A lot of Christian and biblical themes are found throughout literature. Oh yeah. Christianity has had an impact on society. I don't think anyone can argue that. Whether it be true or not. Had a few brain injuries too. Weren't they fun? My favorite was like, was it 2 or 3 years ago at this point? I think it was, no, it might have been 3 at this point. I hit my head really hard, get myself a concussion and nerve damage on the top of my head. And nerve damage, I don't know if you know this, but like the recovery period for nerve damage is somewhere between 6 months and never. So I'm kind of in that never basket right now. It's definitely recovered to the point where it's not like a daily struggle, but it is something that like I can tell they're still not right, and if I'm not careful, I can really fire them off. Lately, I haven't been able to sleep on this side because that pushes on some of like I guess the fired up nerves. It's like sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. There's different things that determine like how the nerves feel, even like atmospheric pressure and shit. It's a whole thing. Where do you go for your fence? Fucking nowhere. Throw that shit away. Burn it all. How did I get mine? It wasn't even anything cool. So like, okay, so the grocery stores, they exist, right? And like refrigerated sections of grocery stores exist, right? And you open up, some of the refrigerated sections have like doors. And you open up and they have like a door frame. I worked in a grocery store where I ran a dairy department, refrigerated department. And I think I was counting products or like checking how many products we have. And I was just fucking going. It was a very fast-paced job. I have like 10,000 things to do 5 hours ago, and like the list keeps piling up. So I'm just going, and I would often step up on like the bottom of the door frame to like lift myself up to see what's on the top shelf, to count what we have on the top shelf and whatnot, or check cleanliness or whatever else have you. And I was doing that, and I was just going too fast, not thinking, and I pulled myself up too fast and slammed my head into the top of that door frame, and just immediately just it's like I could feel just the nerves, just it one of the way I described it to one of my friends, and the way he summed it up was, you rang your bell. And I did. I rang my fucking head on that door frame. Just nerves and everything. And I may have gotten a slight skull fracture too. They didn't really look into it because it's like all the things are like kind of the same treatments. But yeah, it was great. It was so good recovering from that. It did help me stop drinking, so that's kind of cool. You know, if we have to have a silver lining, I had kind of an issue with alcohol, and when you have nerve damage and shit, you can't drink. You know, it just makes it worse. Concussions too. So like for the first year, you know, it was like 9 months until I started feeling somewhat normal. And then it was still, you know, further than that until I got to, you know, where I am now, where I don't even notice it some days. But I can't drink alcohol. So, and it was all consuming, this head injury. It overrode everything because it was just scary, it was painful, it was disorienting me throughout my entire day. Like it consumed my everything. So it overrid, you know, my, you know, alcohol addiction for like a year. And then I got to, you know, a year in, I was like, all right, my head's feeling better. You know, I could start drinking again. But I'm just like, I'm already a year. You know, it's like I'm already a year without drinking. Like, why? Because I'd been wanting to stop. I fucking hate drinking. But you know, my brain didn't hate drinking. So like, I'd been wanting to stop, and I'm just like, I've been stopped for a year. Why pick it back up? And so then it kind of got tougher, you know, without that override of the head injury. The next like year or so was tough, and it still gets tough sometimes. But yeah, I don't know if I would have gotten sober if it wasn't for the head injury. And it wasn't like I was drinking like every single night. It wasn't like overboard. Like I hesitate to call it like alcoholism or anything like that, because it's nowhere near what you would typically see an alcoholic struggling from and suffering from. But you know, it was definitely there. Blows to the head for substance abuse. We're on to something, boys. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Especially shortly after the head injury. And I've been kind of messing with some more mild concussions here and there leading up to this. It's like I was already just kind of like done with the whole situation. But like when I got that final big one, I got sick shortly after that. I got a cold, which sucks. You know, add one more thing to my pain and disorientation and whatnot. And then after that, I had a really bad dry cough that wouldn't go away. And it got worse when I would lay down. So like I have this head injury. I have this dry cough. It's making me jostle my head every time I cough. I can't jostle my head because, you know, my stuff is so sensitive. I wasn't getting a whole lot of sleep because it was keeping me up at night, and I had to sleep sitting up on the couch to even get any sleep. So it's just me with this persistent cough after just being sick with a pretty serious head injury, not getting enough sleep, shaking my head around with a dry cough, sitting up on the couch. Yeah, overrode everything. It was a dark time, and especially because, you know, I was all concussed and whatnot. So my wife and my daughter, you know, my wife made sure to give me space. You know, I don't need my daughter running around, you know, making noise and stuff. But a lot of that, you know, on top of all the scary stuff is happening, a lot of it was me sitting in a dark room by myself alone with my thoughts. Injured, terrified, and just not good. So, yeah, it was a fun time. 0 out of 10. Wouldn't recommend. Hello. But yeah, that's my head injury story. I got in a car accident and got my first concussion from hitting my head on the steering wheel. Classic, always a good one. It's just in, Drew has sensitive stuff. Drew does have sensitive stuff. And before it healed, I passed out and hit my head on the floor. I stood up, passed out again, hit my head on a desk, and passed out for like 10 minutes. Jeez. Well, I'm glad you're like doing all right now.
Taking her off made our shit more expensive, but
Should have just left her on.
no, they would have flagged it
Okay. Look.
anyway. Only made
I'm an
it
atheist, so I'm a
expensive by,
friendly.
like,
Well, we have some friendly theists here. We kind of have a
$7.
okay.
Not too bad.
We have a kind of a same table mentality here. You know, as long as no one's being a dick, we can all sit and discuss things. I welcome differing opinions. It's good for conversation. The COVID shot made me gay, I swear. Man, I was gay before that, so, you know. I was gay before it was spread by vaccines. I say that sometimes too, like neurodivergence, ADHD and autism and stuff, you know, the spectrum of it is coming to light more, and more people are realizing that they have it or that they're on the spectrum in one shape, form, or another. So I like to say, yeah, I was diagnosed with ADHD before it was cool. Just saying. I was neurodivergent before it was cool. Even though it's not that it's like a cool or a trending thing. It's just advances in medicine and technology and social media and whatnot, helping people realize what they have. Yeah. Shout out to Bill Gates. Shout out. What do you want? Why is there a message? Why is there a message? What are you doing? Oh, because you're making audio, because I'm watching a stream. Got it. I had a vaccine injury as a child that gave me autism, but I beat it like Mike Tyson. There you go. I'm too old to have been diagnosed with shit. They just beat us. Be like that. Definitely had my struggles with stuff as a kid, you know. Parents were kind of like in between like that older generation and this newer. What can you do? You know, I had to take medication for it and everything when I was a kid. It sucked. I have 2 boomer parents. Always fun. Always fun. My background is in molecular biology. Don't get me started. I think I want to get you started. Have you ever ran into people from when you were in the faith and told them you no longer believe? So, I was kind of vocal about my deconstruction. If you had access to my personal Facebook account, you could watch my deconstruction from like defending Catholicism to defending Christianity to defending theism and being against religion. You know, when I was defending Catholicism, and then when I was a Christian, speaking out against Catholicism, defending real Christianity. When I was a theist, defending, God, the true loving God, and going against religions and whatnot. When I was an atheist, there was a little bit of an angry atheist phase there. So, like, I was very, 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 very vocal about it. So, yeah, and it got mixed reviews. Some people just kind of, like, ghosted me. Lost some friends, lost contact with some family members. Had some people, praying for me. I feel bad about it, got into some some arguments, got into some heated discussions that made me lose people. Yeah. These days, I'm not really as vocal about it with people in my personal life, if you can believe it. I just default. I just defend atheism and atheists. I have been an atheist since 1968. Nice. I definitely speak out in defense of atheism, and I do a lot of advocacy for atheism, freedom from religion, LGBTQ plus topics, abortion rights, stuff like that. Humanism. An atheist in 68, that's an OG. It's a tough time to be an atheist, is an OG. You need more books. I need bookends. Like, if nothing else, books will come in time. We accumulate those over time. I need, actual bookends. I mean, there's some stuff that I have here that, I guess could be used as... Not really. I think the skull could be used as a bookend if I wanted to. But then, there would just... If I scoot it all over, there would just be a gap there. So, yeah, I really just need kind of bookends. Just flat, black middle. You can't even see them bookends. I wouldn't want any, fancy stuff. I use rocks. I can use rocks. But also, them spilling over and stuff, I don't know. Helps fill out the shelf more, but no. I could use rocks. I have rocks. Let me check if there was an easy time to be an atheist. Nope. Yeah. I have a crystal bookend. Yeah, see, I don't know if I'd want anything
I'm guessing it's good, but honestly, I don't know.
extra like that. Personally. Oh, and I will not be going live Friday. I'll probably mention something. I got stuff going on. I don't think I'm going to be going live tomorrow, so I'll go back to hopefully see you guys Monday next. Where are you, atheists? I don't have any reason to believe in a god. It's just kind of it. So now I'm looking at my bookshelf. Probably... Because, the skull is, no, it's not that heavy, is it? Fuck. Yeah, I just need bookends. One of these days. It's not at the top of my list right now. I don't know why people are theists. Their myths are fucking nuts. I understand how people can be theists.
Okay.
Go get you some food. The self situation has gotten out of hand. Maybe seasonal decorations for the next holiday to fill them up. See, I kind of wanted to go all out Halloween, but I got other themes that I talk about. It is a chaotic mess, though. I'm work from home. This is my office that I work in throughout the day, and sometimes I'm on video calls. I have a sheet that I just throw over it because the sheet looks like a better backdrop than this. It's more professional than this. Once in the future when I get it more filled out, I probably won't, I'll probably be fine with showing it off, but it's just not. It looks like shit. It just does. I do think it's odd that Earth is so programmed for life, though. Why Earth? Why not Earth? I mean, what we need for life is kind of everywhere. The elements and whatnot are kind of all over the place, and there's countless stars and countless more planets around them. The odds of one of them being able to form life and being in a habitable zone is almost inevitable. And since life was able to evolve on one planet, it did. You know, if we were on, you know, one of those Kepler 1 whatever planets, we'd probably be having the same conversation. Like, wow, can you believe, you know, Schmarf, the planet Schmarf was perfectly designed for us or whatever? Why only here do we have liquid water? There's liquid water elsewhere. With the puddle analogy. There's liquid water other places. There's frozen water more places have frozen water just because it's fucking cold. This has necessary temperatures and pressures for a liquid phase of water. Yeah, the conditions for life here are temporary. If it was everywhere, we wouldn't be talking about this. Water is all over the universe. It's just more rare, not impossibly rare, for it to be in liquid form. But no life. This is common sense. So, we've set foot on the moon. And we've sent spacecraft to visit a couple of the planets in our solar system, like once or twice. We got a couple of rovers going around, like, you know, Mars and the moon. That's pretty cool. And we've yeeted a couple of rovers to the edge of the solar system. The universe is massive. Like, we haven't even finished exploring our own planet. So, to say definitively, we can't even say definitively right now that there's no other forms of life in our own solar system. We just don't know, you know? It's like, all right, you know, I'm gonna go buy some eggs, and you take 2 steps out your front door, and like, I don't see any eggs out here, and you walk back inside. You know, we gotta look a little bit further and deeper and better before we just be like, nah, there's no life anywhere else. The universe is massive, but life isn't. We don't know that. Absence of evidence isn't evidence. Absence of evidence is not, but it is evidence for absence where evidence would be expected. And when you have a claim, especially a pretty big claim, like, you know, God, creator of the universe, all that stuff, and we don't have any solid evidence to back it up, why should we believe it? We don't have access to very much. We can't even see the whole universe because we exist in the Milky Way, a spiral disk galaxy. So I'll use Saturn's like the best thing. Just pretend this isn't Saturn. So our Milky Way is like a big flat disk, flatter than this. And we're somewhere in here. We can't see in this direction or like these directions because the Milky Way is in the way. So with the Milky Way, we only have a view here and here. So we can't even see like half of what is in our field of view because the Milky Way is in the way. It's like we can't even observe the whole universe through the best telescopes, you know? Like, we really just have nothing to go off of right now. You're claiming because we don't know, we know. I never said that. Really can't explain anything. Really can't explain anything. But just because we don't have an explanation doesn't mean it has to have been a god. That's the God of the Gaps argument. If God didn't do it, you sure have no better explanation. See, I don't need a better explanation to disprove something that hasn't been proven. We don't know. We don't have all of these answers. And when somebody says, yes, I have the answers, that's great. But then if they don't have evidence to back it up, it doesn't really sound like answers. You know, back to the drawing board. Basically offer nothing. Maybe. You can theorize it within the confines of known processes without involving the supernatural. You have nothing to, nothing if the space genie. You have nothing if the space genie from my religion didn't do it. Nope, this doesn't follow. What's the point of what you are saying then? No point. What was I saying? Chief, you're really trying to like make a point and do gotchas, but I don't even know what you're saying. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, and maybe that's my fault. Like you really think that like you got something right now, and you're kind of being a little arrogant about it, and it doesn't really work. It came from a puddle. Yeah, the primordial ooze thing is it's a little bit more complicated than that. The puddle is kind of an oversimplified straw man, but you know. Can I have my water too?
I don't know where your water is.
I think it's on the couch.
I didn't see it.
I don't know where it is then.
I didn't see it.
Go find it. Do I have my water? It's stupid. It's stupid to be intellectually honest and say we genuinely don't know what's going on. And to say we genuinely don't know what's going on, rather than say we know what's going on without being able to verify it and back it up. Studying anthropology in college? Cool. What does that do for us? There are some really smart scientists who are theists, and there are some really smart scientists who are atheists. So what does your degree do for you? Belief in a God isn't necessarily, belief or lack thereof isn't necessarily an intellectual thing. There are people who have studied the human body and all of its, parts and whatnot, and are atheist, and there are people who have studied the human body and who are theist. Education doesn't really do much. We don't need God to explain how life could have sprang forth. Not nearly as stupid as Talking Snake or a story written by men that pretend they were at creation, even though their own story didn't have people yet in it. Yeah, that's a thing. I respect atheist people, but the origin of life theory isn't very good. What's the origin of life theory? I want to know what because you've already presented a couple straw men and a couple like classic tropes that like aren't really accurate and shit. So like I'm curious. I want to know more of where you're coming from, because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I would like to know more about where you're coming from. Think we need more dialogue? All for it. Prebiotic systems chemistry is a thing. You're just not really representing things the best, and you've brought up some like common theist tropes and stuff that I don't know. Strawman is me making your argument. Strawman is arguing a point that hasn't been made, or like missing what the other person's thing is. maybe we just need more dialogue. Maybe we can dig in on something. I think that might be a good idea. Maybe we're just having a little bit of a misconnect. Life is about more dialogue. That's why I do these live streams. Anthropology is a pretty good field to have studied if you're talking about the evolution of late humans and societies. Did you take courses that give you insight on the chemical origin of life, though? That's a good question. Abiogenesis operates on the idea that more complex arrangements of molecules came from simpler arrangements, but creationism posits animals and plants poofing into existence from nothing. Yeah. Like how we had light, day and night, and vegetation before we had the sun, according to creation. Thoughts on fine tuning? Not really for it. Somebody told me earlier to hit with the puddle analogy, and I think it's a good one to bring up, in response to that question as well. So the puddle analogy. Say there is a pothole in the road. I'm sure you all know what that looks like because it's, at least in here in the U.S. Construction joke. Anyway, um, and it rains, and that puddle fills with water, and that pothole fills with water, and is now a puddle. Now, say the water in that pothole gained sentience. It might very well sit there and start saying, "Wow, I fit this hole so perfectly. This hole was made specifically for me in mind. It has to have been because I fit into it so perfectly. And no matter what happens, clearly something has made this hole just for me. So clearly there's some kind of grand designer, being looking after me, and everything's going to be okay." And then, it stops raining, the sun comes out, it starts drying up, puddle starts getting lower and lower, but it's fine, it's not worried, because how could it be? How could anything be wrong when I'm in a position that was clearly perfectly designed by some, intelligent being for me to fit into it? So it continues thinking it's fine and nothing's wrong until finally, much to its surprise, it completely evaporates and disappears altogether. Was the earth, the universe, whatever, fine-tuned for us? Or did we evolve from natural processes in the universe to fit into that universe? Was the whole formed to perfectly fit the water that became the puddle? Or when water was poured into the hole, did it just take the shape of the hole? It's interesting to study anthropology, but it's very humbling. You realize you don't know anything. Yeah. I mean, that's science. The more we learn about science, the more we learn about the universe, the more you look into it, the more you realize we don't know anything. Can I ask you something? Because I believe you are made in the image of God and you deserve rights. What happens when we remove that? When we take God out of the equation? Are you asking what kind of rights I have if there is no God? Yeah, okay. So humans have evolved throughout our 200,000 years, and even before that with our pre-human ancestors, to live. And those of us who evolved to live had a better chance of living and reproducing and living. And especially those of us who came to work together for the betterment of a society and the individuals within that society, including ourselves. We've learned how to deal with one another. We've set up certain systems of morals and ethics, and none of them are necessarily perfect, and I don't think any of them are based on any kind of objective truth. But it's a system that we've kind of agreed upon and played with and kind of, filled out over the course of 200,000 years into what we now have today. So objectively, I would say we don't really have any grand purpose or morals or rights or anything like that. I'd say the closest thing to objective morality would be the fact that we have agreed upon, for the most part, that a good base for morals and ethics is overall human well-being. And if we can agree on that subjective base, or we can set that as our subjective base, we can have objective morals based on that subjective base, but it is still based on a subjective base. And what I mean by that is if our subjective base is, human well-being, longevity of life, all that stuff, murder would be objectively against that base. So in that system with that base in place, murder would be objectively wrong. But keep in mind, it's still on a subjective base. So it's not necessarily, every man for themselves, everyone just does whatever they want. We've figured it out over time, and we like living, and it's the only life we know we're going to get, and we like to make the most out of it. We're biologically programmed to try to live and make the most of life, because those people who didn't live and didn't do the things necessary to live way back when, had less of a chance, and even today have less of a chance of passing on their genetics and, passing on the things that make them them. So, more structural, societal driven, moral driven, ethics driven systems that helped people survive and procreate helped that system to get passed down more and more, as well as just overall human communication over the course of 200,000 years. We don't need a God to give ourselves rights. We don't need God to give ourselves rights. We really do restrict the government with God. Do we? If God doesn't restrict government, what happens? And the system is terrible. I mean, our system of government is not really based on, Christianity or anything. All right, so solely an advent of culture and survival. Its subjective religion has historically been used to deprive people of rights just as often as grant them. It's a sock puppet. If your morals are based on agreements, then you will have a bad time. Your system is mob rule. It's a little bit more than that. You don't see it, huh? I'm sorry if without a God there's no objective morals and ethics, and I'm sorry if that upsets you, but it looks like that's the system that we have. Sorry, and however much you like it or don't like it, or however much I like it or don't like it, doesn't change whether or not there is whether or not there is or a God or not, whether or not there is a God. God does not equal morals. Even if there's a God, we still don't technically have objective morality because it's just morals based on what God says. So we'd still have a subjective base. It's whatever God says. And we'd have morals based on that subjective base. It's more or less the same thing. It's almost like we have a village that has... It's almost like when you have a village that has any religion or no religion, nobody wants to be killed and will get mad if the relatives get killed. Yeah. The Bible says that women are subservient and condones slavery and subjugates an entire group, in subjugation of entire groups. An honest reader would see that it's basically elevated Jewish males above all others. Yeah. Citing religions never invented morals and ethics. Try again. Yeah, it would seem that our morals and ethics didn't come from a God. It seems like we plugged in already figured out morals and ethics into religion and filtered them out. And now we have people, religion trying to hijack morality, acting like we can't have morals without a God, even though it seems like the morals came before the God, from what we can see. A democrat is based on Christianity. Read the Declaration of Independence. A creator, sure. The idea of a creator was there because our founders were deists mostly, not Christians. Read the Treaty of Tripoli, which states that we are in no way, shape, or form a Christian nation. Read the Bill of Rights that says that we have freedom of and from religion. This is not a Christian nation. It was never intended to be a Christian nation. Society has requirements. It has a requirement to allow society to exist. That is where ethics and morals come from. Morals are culturally influenced ideals and the guiding principle of which is to minimize suffering and do as little harm as possible. If it came before God, then where did it come from? They were Christian. They weren't. I just said where it came from if it didn't come from a God. And some people just aren't awfully terrible sociopaths that have a hard time, that have to have a God to keep them on a leash and prevent them from being serial killers. They wanted to be a Christian. No, they wanted freedom of and from religion. No laws should be made with respect to an establishment of religion. Don't lie, they were. You aren't perfect. Chief, I really don't know what to do for you. You got your ideas, and I can respect that. At the end of the day, if all we're saying is yaha, nah, maybe that's just what it is. Some of them were, many were not. Arguably the most influential ones. We also have things like the Bill of Rights that guarantees freedom of religion, the Treaty of Tripoli, which said, I'm pretty sure it was the Treaty of Tripoli, someone please correct me if I'm wrong, which said that the United States is in no way, shape, or form a Christian nation. If you look at the Jefferson Bible, you can tell that it's not really, he kind of ripped out a lot of the, what you would see as traditional Christian things. They may have been Christians, but not the way you are thinking about, and the Founding Fathers did base the country's foundation, did not base the country's foundation on religion. It was against Catholicism, sure. Y'all are dumb. You know, Chief, it must be nice to be the smartest person in the room, to just know that everything everyone else is saying is wrong because, you know, you just have everything right. I'm gonna hide that, Oceans. Go read the evidence. The 1797 Treaty of Tripoli, signed by President John Adams and ratified unanimously by the Senate. Article 11, stating that the U.S. government is not, in any sense, founded on Christian religion. Yeah. Chief, I don't know, man. You're tunnel visioning. You're picking and choosing documents and bits of history to reinforce your beliefs, and, you know, ignoring the ones that don't. You're, you know, absolutely, you know, almost hostily rejecting everything that we're saying, you know. And I hope, you know, I'm not trying to have a system where, like, we're here dogpiling on you or anything, but, like, I don't know. I don't know, man. Our laws reflect Christianity. How so? Yeah, you just never lived. Y'all are dumb. Yeah, no. You know, keep educating us. 10 Commandments. Okay, what about the 10 Commandments? Read it, okay. What in the 10 Commandments? Let's walk through what is actual federal law. Let me pull it up just so we can go point by point. What's actually federal law that everyone has to follow? Let's see. Don't follow any other gods. Don't make graven images. Don't take the Lord's name in vain. Keep holy the Sabbath. None of those are federal laws. Killing and stealing. Okay, you got those. But those are pretty universal ideas that, you know, are kind of unanimous across all cultures. They're just pretty shitty things, you know, that, like, shouldn't exist, and everyone kind of agrees regardless of religion or culture. Honor thy father and mother. Not really a federal law. Sometimes not even a good idea. Some parents just shouldn't be honored. Don't commit adultery. It's a shitty thing to do. And there's some ish laws about it. Well, we'll give that a kinda. Bear false witness. Don't do perjury. That's just practical. You know, don't bear false witness. It's just practical. Get stuff taken care of faster. Shall not covet. There's no laws against that. And sometimes coveting can be a good thing, you know? It's like, hey, I want what that guy has, and it can be good motivation to improve your life. So you're at, like, half-ish of the 10 Commandments. Half-ish. Stealing and killing, yeah. Anybody can steal. That's the way the word "can" works. It is illegal everywhere on this planet. Like, 4 of the commandments are about God being insecure. There's only a couple that are actually useful, and they are rules that predate Christianity and Judaism, which, by the way, where they come from. You didn't actually understand now I'm not understanding the 10 Commandments. Chief, I don't want any ill will or beef with you. I really don't. You know, I've been in similar mindsets to you. I really encourage you to just slow down, open your mind, analyze things, listen to things that people say that you don't agree with, and actually mull it over and take time to really study and look into this stuff. You know, you haven't even acknowledged the Treaty of Tripoli, from what I've seen, unless I missed it. The Treaty of Tripoli, or the Bill of Rights. You know, it's just you got this like tunnel vision. I got these things and they're right, and everyone else is wrong and stupid. And I'm trying to help you and explain these things to you. I'm trying to be nice about it, and it's just not. The problem is you think you know what you don't. I don't think I know shit. When did I say that? It's a topic of discussion. Basically what I just said. That's kind of what we were discussing. Theism versus atheism. Is the U.S. a Christian nation? So doing awesome and lovely. Super hugs. Thanks for all you do. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Is it the Treaty of 67? Is Treaty of Tripoli something completely different? Am I dumb? Is the Treaty of 67? I thought they were the same thing. I could be wrong. Is a Christian nation... It is a Christian nation. So, like, to disregard, like, the past, like, 10 or so minutes and, like, everything that we've said, that, like, you still haven't acknowledged, you don't... Chief, I don't think you like it. And I think you're kind of rejecting everything that you don't like. Oh, sorry, I was making a dumb 6-7 joke. No, I can respect that. No, I can respect that. No, it's a nation with a lot of Christians. Is it a nation with a lot of Christians and definitely heavily influenced by Christianity? 100%. But a Christian nation built on Christian laws and values and whatnot? No. Do you like nihilism, hedonism, pacifism, or something else true? Sorry for the misspelled. Nihilism's not bad. I try to lean more towards pacifism. Sometimes it's not really an option, but I'd like to think that we can all discuss our issues as adults. Hedonism, not really. Yeah. I am going to end the live stream soon. Just a heads up. I mean, and anyone watching this, I would always recommend... My goodness. Sorry. You need mods? I have a couple. They're not active. But also chat usually goes slow enough to where, like, I don't really need to do anything. Like, I don't currently have a reason to do anything about Chief. Sucks, you know, that you know, it's not really getting through, but, you know, I'm okay with discussion. Do I have a license for those guns you're displaying? I don't have guns. Little water pistols. Water pistols. I'm working on it. They're definitely, there's definitely progress. You know, I'm working on it. But no, you don't need a license to carry water pistols. Do you think having a Christian influenced nation has proven beneficial to modern day America? There's been pros and cons. And there's a lot of good things that come with religions, including Christianity. The problem is we can get those good things from other means without all of the negative baggage that comes with religions and Christianity and whatnot. That's the problem. So, like, there are pros and cons, but there's cons that we wouldn't have without religion, and there's pros that we can have without religion, if that makes sense. If you found a book on Mars, you assume it was there purely by natural, unintelligent causes, or that there is an author, but I imagine you'd see DNA as purely natural. So far, we have zero reason to believe that books occur by natural processes. We've been able to map out and observe the entire process of how books are made, how authors coming up with an idea, writing something down, putting the book together, the printing press, all of that stuff. There's a printing press. The more advanced, the modern version of the printing press, publication, and all that stuff. We can map that whole thing front to back. We can't do that with really natural processes and a god. We don't have a god doing stuff, coming up with an idea, doing stuff. We haven't observed and mapped out that entire process like we have with books. So yes, I'm pretty sure that books cannot just come about through natural processes. So if we found a book on Mars, I'd be fucking confused as to how it got there. But I would suspect it came from probably earthly humans. Probably humans, someone from Earth. Because even if there were previous civilizations on Mars, look at it now. It's not like everything's been wiped, but here's this book, Maybe if there's like a petrified library somewhere or something, I don't know. It's great you don't understand that when America was made, it was in response to the Catholic Church, but it was about freedom and Christianity. It's not really how the Bill of Rights or the Treaty of Tripoli are worded, though. Well, I am, and a lot of the founders were deists. Well, I am a born Hindu, and from where I come, laws of land are the most important, and you can be a Hindu if you believe in God or not, but you cannot convert. But you can practice, okay? All books we've ever seen are man-made. That's how we know there are books. Thanks for answering my question. Absolutely. As a molecular biologist, I can tell you at no point that anybody's fucking Bible popped out of DNA. I'm a Catholic. You are a nice guy and articulate. Thanks for being an adult in this world of immaturity and screaming at each other over disagreements. That's what I'm here for. RNA can be self-replicating, and RNA can be DNA forming. Brother, please read my comment and understand how America was built. I've been reading your comments. The Reformation movement, sure. I like you. I'm glad you do. I like you. And I think we definitely disagree. I'm sure there's some things like I could say about you that you would say about me, closed off, thinking you know everything, all this stuff. I'm sure you'd say the same thing about me, and you have a couple times in the chat. So, at the end of the day, it's two brick walls throwing bouncy balls at each other. And so, what can you do? We also have no reason to believe that apobetic information comes about by natural processes. DNA fits that criteria. It's a code. It's a language within every living thing. Maybe. DNA contains codons, but it isn't a code in a way computer code is a code. You're showing himself as the left Charlie Kirk. I've shown myself as the left Charlie Kirk. People need to get some science. For fuck's sake, their Bibles are making them stupider by the day. I mean, you can't tunnel vision on any one book. Love you too, Chief. Wish you the best, and I'm sure you wish me the best, I think God has been created by man to bring hope and togetherness in society, and then due to political gains and power, hunger, the religion has been weaponized. I think the idea of a God probably came forth originally from humans looking at something crazy, a natural disaster or whatever, and being like, I don't understand what this is, it must be magic. Because throughout history, we've attributed natural phenomenon to the supernatural. Insect swarms, diseases, natural disasters, eclipses, seasons changing, the sun rising and setting, stars moving, moon moving, whatever else. We've attributed to all kinds of supernatural things because we just, at the time, didn't understand what it was. So, magic, divinely inspired something, some kind of deity was for what they had, a decent explanation. And so I think that's where the idea of a god probably originated. It's just like, I don't understand how this works. And then it was, I think, very quickly, like if you look at history, religious history, there was not a big gap, I don't think, between, hey, this is, I don't know how this works, it must be magic, and my magic man wants me to have power over you. You know, I don't think there was a very big gap between the two. More complex than computer code? I should hope so. Our DNA, you know, we're talking about stuff that's been formed over the course of 14 billion years, the age of the universe, even before it was code, you know, at a process of billions and billions and billions of years. I would hope it's more complex than something that we can scrap together in, what, 20 years in a lab. Time travelers are the reason everything for everything, obviously, maybe. Okay. Do you think I'm gonna go ahead and end the live stream? I gotta go eat and go to sleep. I have another 12-hour or so day tomorrow. It's great. And don't move the stool. No. I'm concerned with you with the idea of God. When something cannot be explained by science, it is done by God. No. But the same books written in many religion are very useful. They can be. Yeah, sure. But we get into the God of the gaps fallacy. If we say if it doesn't have an explanation, it must be a God. And the reason that's failed us is because of the reasons I just gave. You know, we used to attribute all kinds of natural phenomenon to some kind of divinely, you know, the God beings or something, you know, magic or whatever. But now we have better, natural, credible, evidence-based, observable explanations for these phenomena, like the changing of seasons, you know, insect swarms, diseases, to where we don't need the supernatural aspect. So this idea of, I don't know how it works, therefore it must be a god or something divine, has failed us multiple times throughout human history. So it's just illogical to continue playing that game, and it's much better just to be intellectually honest and say, if we don't understand how something works, we simply don't understand how something works. It doesn't take God off the table as a candidate explanation, but that explanation currently has zero good evidence to back it up. So it's not off the table, it's just not something that we can really consider and play with and observe and whatnot at this point in time. But thank you so much, all of you, for being here. I say it every live stream because I mean it every live stream. I'm always appreciative to anyone who doesn't just scroll past any of my content. The fact that anyone stops and watches and, you know, comments and likes and engages in chat. We had good conversations in the stream, kept the conversation going. So I'm not just sitting here like what are we talking about, you know? Because without you guys, that's what the stream is. I'm sure you've noticed there's a lot of like lulls in the conversation where you guys aren't carrying it, so I have to carry it, and I'm not good at carrying it. So thank you, everyone, truly so much for being here. I usually go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. I usually start somewhere between 9 and 10 Central Time and go live for about an hour. I will not be live on Friday. I'm not going to go live on tomorrow or anything. So I hope to be back on Monday, and I hope to see you all in the future. So thank you all so much for being here. Have an amazing rest of your night, day, whenever you're watching this. Bye.